All right, well, it's now Thursday night, August 21st. So tonight was quite different than last night. If you watched last night's video, you'll know I made $90 in 2 hours, just out doing a couple different orders. Tonight, something very similar, but it was a lot slower. I turned on my apps around 6 o'clock after dinner and was in the office working on emails, doing client things, and I saw a whole bunch of offers, but none of them that motivated me enough to take them. And it wasn't until a little after, I'd say about 8, I had an okay offer. It was a 10-item shop or an 8-item shop at Walmart for 21 bucks, but it was only going 3 or 4 miles on the delivery, which was right by my house. So I figured, hey, worst case scenario, I can knock this out in a half an hour and come back. Best case scenario, I get another order like I did last night, where I got a couple stacked on top of each other and ended up doing really well. Well, some days you get them and some days you don't. I did the shop, drove back home, didn't get any other offers, came home, started shooting this video, actually, and it was a total of 28 minutes door to door. From the time I left the house to the time I got back, it was 28 minutes. So as far as worst case scenario, I made $21 in 28 minutes. That's still definitely a $40 an hour pace, so not bad. And I was perfectly fine with just heading back in the house and calling it a day at 21 bucks. But guys, this is why you can't rely on gig apps to pay the rent or pay your car payment. These are part-time gigs. You can't control what orders are out there. And if you were relying on this to pay your rent or something like that, you would end up just sitting in a parking lot hoping to get an order because you needed the money, and then taking desperate offers, $5 orders, $6 orders, $7 orders, going 10 miles, just because you're like, oh my gosh, rent is due in 10 days or whatever. And I understand if you're in a situation where you have to do what you have to do, then by all means you do that. But that is not how you want to be working these gig apps long term. That's a short term, I need cash, I'm just going to have to stay out until I make the $200 I need to pay the bill tomorrow or whatever it is. That's a different scenario. You got to get to a point where you're able to use these gigs as just extra money to pay off debt faster, extra money to pay off your car faster, extra money to build up your savings, extra money to go in your retirement, whatever that is. Because you'll have nights like I had tonight where I got one decent offer and I saw a whole bunch of crap offers. Now, when I was sitting here starting the video, I actually finally got an Uber offer or a DoorDash offer it was borderline. It was $14.95 for a Taco Bell order, and it was 2 orders, both at Taco Bell, and the 2 houses were half a mile apart. And it was a total of, I believe it was 6 miles, but 6 miles out, now 6 miles back. So technically it was 12 miles. So it's kind of on the border, $14.95 for 12 miles. But my thinking on it was, you know what? It's not going to be that great, but I should be able to get it done in about 30 minutes. It's not a $40 an hour pace, but it's a, a 30-ish, maybe $32 an hour pace. But I looked at it as, well, it was really slow tonight. I only did 1 order. Might as well extend it, see if I can get something else to talk about other than just the 1 order. And so I figured I'd roll the dice. I'll take it, and maybe I'll get lucky, and there might be 1 more order behind it. Because sometimes when you're just getting out moving, that's when the orders start happening. Unfortunately, I didn't get another order. That was it. I got that done. That one actually took me 30 minutes. So it took me 2 minutes longer to do the $14.95 Taco Bell DoorDash than it took me to do the 8-item shop at Walmart. But all in all, it was combined. It was an hour for 36 bucks actually. 21 plus $14.95, $36. So, right there, right in the ballpark. The funny thing was, I did actually get an Uber on the way home for $44. I did not do it. Might ask why. Well, this was a Target order. It was a 12-item shop. I actually saw it come in when I was starting to film the video before I did the DoorDash, and it offered me $19. Is 12 items at Target, 12-mile delivery. That's not worth $19, so I declined it. When I was out doing the driving to Taco Bell, that same order popped up again, this time $24 from Uber. And then as soon as I got done dropping off that DoorDash, popped up again for Uber, $44. Now, for those of you that don't really ever drive late at night, Uber will do that. They will jack up the price to get an order delivered if the store gets close to closing. And that was an extra tip. That was Uber's base pay got ramped up. It went from 19 to 44 in a matter of 40 minutes because nobody was taking it. And so I saw the 44. It ain't worth 12 item shop going 12 miles is not worth 19, but I'll do it for 44. So I just saw it, and it was on the match. It wasn't exclusive to me or whatever. It was just, on the radar, the trip radar. So I just saw the 44 and saw it was the same order and hit request match. And it was like, do satellites linking up, whatever. And then it's like, okay, we'll give it to you. And it's like, no shit, you'll give it to me. You've been trying to give it to somebody for an hour. Nobody's taking it. But then as soon as I got it, I'm like, hey, this actually makes my night. I could go get this Target order real quick, get $44. It's going to, all in all, this order is probably going to take me about an hour, which is why I didn't do it for 19. Because by the time I drive 12 miles, I got to drive 12 miles back. Well, it wouldn't be quite 12 miles back because my house is a little bit closer. But you get the point. It would have been an hour by the time I went to Target, got the 12 items, drove, nine remainder miles to the delivery, and then about 9 miles back home. All that would have taken me an hour, but I'll do that for $44. And then I would have had a very similar night. I would have ended up about, $77, $78 over 2 hours. Not a bad night. But as I get ready to drive to Target, I go, wait a minute, it's 10:10. I know Target closes at 10. And the order came in after 10, right? But that's what Uber was doing between the 9 and the 10 o'clock hour. It was ramping up the price. The problem is Uber was too slow on the draw, and they didn't get to the 44 offer till after they were closed. So that was disappointing, but there's nothing you can do about that. The store's not open. You can't do a shop. So I just had to cancel it. I even contacted support, and I was a little annoyed that it's gonna ding my cancellation rate. Not that I really care too much, but that doesn't seem very fair. I have to cancel the order because the store is closed and I get penalized. It goes against my cancellation rate, but whatever, it's their game. They make up the rules. You just got to play by them. So, it could have been just as good of a night as it was last night, but it wasn't. And so, I ended up with $36, hour of my time. Not great, not horrible. But again, if I had like a $200 bill due tomorrow and I was trying to use this to try to, cover that, that's when you get desperate. That's when you start taking bad orders. That's when you just start trading, equity in your car for dollars. And you're not profitable because you're just taking orders because you need cash coming in the door because you have this bill right now, not factoring in the future oil changes and the future car breakdowns and repairs and the depreciation of the car when you eventually go to sell it. Or, you're not setting aside money for all that stuff. You should be setting aside a minimum of 50 to 70 cents a mile. Minimum. Should be 50 to 70 cents a mile you're setting aside, and you should factor that in when you're making these decisions, which is why you can't drive Lyft and Uber anymore. They don't pay it. Lyft and Uber does not pay enough per mile to make it worth it. If you're a Lyft driver or an Uber driver, you're working for free. You're essentially cashing out equity in your car for dollars right now, but you're going to pay for that when your car eventually breaks down and you have no money set aside because you're too busy driving 14 hours a day just trying to pay your rent. The math doesn't math with Lyft and Uber anymore. It did 2-3 years ago. They used to have great bonuses. You used to be able to use those bonuses and really make some good money. I haven't seen a bonus from Lyft, like a real bonus. None of this 10%, 20% turbo bullshit. That's bullshit. No, I'm talking about, $8 bonus hours and things like that, where you could go in and bang out 4 short rides in an hour and get an extra $8 on top of each ride. So now you're getting a $32 bonus for that hour on top of the fare that you're going to get, which was going to be $3 or $4 a ride, which sucks. But you take $3 or $4 a ride and you're in an $8 bonus hour. Now all of a sudden you're getting $12 for a short ride that maybe took 5 or 10 minutes and whatever tip on top of that. Now all of a sudden we're talking, you could be making $40 to $60 an hour if you're selectively driving when they're offering these bonuses. Or they used to offer bonuses where they randomly throw up, hey, you do 10 rides this week and you'll get a $100 bonus or whatever. Sure, I'm game. I'll do that. I'll knock out 10 rides for a $100 bonus. That's cherry on the top, right? That makes sense. I haven't seen an offer like that in over a year. They don't do bonus hours anymore as far as I can tell. I haven't seen them. And they do turbos, which a turbo, who gives a shit, right? Okay, so great, turbo, 20%. All right, well, let's think about that. So you're going to go do this ride, and they want you to do a ride, $10 going 10 miles. Okay, you go do it. You go, it's $1 a mile. Well, number one, you're going to have to expense 50 to 70 cents a mile, so you're not making $1 a mile. You're making 30 cents a mile, number one, or 50 at most. And then they go, oh, well, this is a 20% turbo. Oh, great, I get an extra $2. Lottie frickin' da on the $2. I want an $8 bonus hour, $7 bonus hour. I don't want an extra dollar or two on an already crappy ride. It just makes it slightly less crappy. Is that the kind of pay you want? Slightly less crappy pay? So if you're an exclusive Lyft driver, an exclusive Uber driver, get out of it now. It's not getting better. It's not all of a sudden going to turn around and they're going to start offering you more money. It's just getting worse and worse and worse. Right now, you could still make $30-40 an hour in food delivery, grocery delivery, but I'm sure I'll be doing videos a year from now that's saying, hey, if you're in grocery delivery, get out. You can't make enough money. Because that's all in customer tips, guys. Most of the money I make is in customer tips. So what happens is as the area gets more saturated with drivers, because more and more drivers are figuring out they can't make money with Lyft and Uber, they start gravitating over towards Instacart and DoorDash and things like that. Well, the more drivers that come over there, especially with the, cheap ride mentality that a lot of them have, they'll take cheaper orders. And it doesn't take long for customers to figure out that, hey, there's no matter what kind of tip I put on here, I'm still getting my order, right? So are you going to put a $20 tip on an order if you can put a $5 tip and still get the same service? Maybe. Some people will, but most people won't, right? They might just have this one that tied on cash one day, put a very low tip on it and go, hey, I got the same level of service, Things are kind of tight for me too. Why am I tipping $10? I'll tip $5. It's still a tip, right? People don't know how much DoorDash drivers are getting paid. They don't realize DoorDash drivers can't afford to drive without a tip. They don't realize DoorDash is offering them $2 to go 10 miles, and if there's no customer tip, they're not going to make enough money. But the difference between food delivery and Uber and Lyft, food delivery, the tip is pre-offered. You can select your rides based on what the tip is. You can see it ahead of time. Uber and Lyft, you're just crossing your fingers that this guy's going to give you a tip, right? So, but like I said, I'll be making videos a year from now saying, get out of food delivery. It's not profitable anymore. Right now I can go out and I can make $40 an hour. Fine. I think that's good. I mean, I think that's actually better than good for what it is, for a non-skilled service that anybody can do with a phone and a car. $40 an hour is pretty great for that. But I know a lot of people in a lot of areas, they're having trouble making $20 an hour. And so if you're in an area that you can't make more than $20 an hour, you're going to have to start taking a serious look at that, because if you're grossing $20 an hour, you're not making $20 an hour, especially if you're driving Lyft and Uber and you're having to drive 20 miles to make $20. You're only making $10 an hour at best. You might even be making less than that depending on what kind of car you're driving. So anyway, that's all I got for you tonight. Again, theme is the magic of part-time. This is not full-time stuff. If you have to do it full-time, by all means, do what you have to do, but be always looking for something better, always looking to better your education, better your skill set, so you can get a better job, so you can turn if your full-time gig work into part-time gig work for extra bonus money, not for I need rent money, so I have to stay out here and drive until I make $300, right? Because I can still make $300. I mean, last Sunday I drove for 7.7 hours and I made $315. So you can still do it, but I can't do that every day. Now, I could go out and I can make $300 every day if I had the time to do it, but I couldn't do that in 8 hours every day. Like if somebody had a gun to my head and said, you have to make $300 before you can go home, that's the rule, you can still do it. Now, you might have to drive, some days you might have to drive 12, 14 hours to do it, so it's not great, but you technically still can do it, but you have to be able to draw a line somewhere. And what I'm saying is the pay is not going up. It's been going trending downward since I started doing this stuff in 2002. And it's not going to hit the bottom and slide back up. All you're doing by taking these low pay offers is just helping these companies to be profitable and invest in AI and robo-taxis and automated food delivery. That's all you're doing. You're just helping these companies generate revenue to acquire the technology to replace you. So that's what we're doing out here. We're helping these companies replace us faster. So if we're helping these companies replace us, you better damn well be profitable while you're doing it, because you will eventually get replaced. And if you don't have any profit to show for it, all you have is a broken car at the end of this rainbow, you're going to be hurting, right? Hopefully you can get out of the gig economy before the gig economy gets out of you. That makes sense, maybe, right? You know what I mean. All right, have a good night. Just a quick update. I was editing the video. I usually leave my Lyft app on later at night because I live within a few miles of a couple of bars, and I leave it on Lyft Black only. So once in a while I'll get a ride, and I actually just got pinged for a ride that I just finished. It was only a short ride. The bar was 6.5 miles away from my house, but the ride was from the bar to where they were staying only about 1.5 miles. So all in, it was about 13 miles round trip, door to door. So I just drove 13 miles. It's like 26.50 or something like that. And a tip could come in. Nice ladies in from out of town and from New York, hanging out for the weekend. So it actually turned in what was a crap evening into pretty good. I ended up now with the Walmart for 21, the DoorDash for roughly 15, and then this Lyft Black ride for 26 and change. All in, I'm at like 63. And door to door. And again, I'm not measuring like pickup to drop off. I'm measuring time and miles from when I leave my house to when I get back to my house. As I said, that trip was 13 miles. And it was 26 minutes. So roughly half hour. So all in tonight, I worked 1.5 hours and made $63. If they tip me a little bit more, then it's going to go up from there. So back to a $40 an hour pace. But again, the magic of part-time, not having to do this full-time, not, being in a position to not need the money. And I'm not saying that everybody's just in a position where they don't need the money, but you need to get yourself to a place where you don't need the money from gig apps. And then you'll be able to make more per hour. You won't end up being a slave to these apps. They won't be able to control you if you don't need the money. If you'd like to have the money for extra, for going out, for paying off debt, whatever, then that's great. Then when the apps are paying well and they're offering you something that's worth your time, you can take those. But if they're not, you don't take them, right? Don't be in a position, or at least don't stay in a position where you're just staying out driving hour after hour after hour, $6 rides, $5 rides, whatever they'll throw at you, because you're like, well, $6 is $6 more than I had before. That's a broke mentality, and you're going to go broke, and your car's going to go broke. Taking $6, $7, $8 rides. Like my minimums on food delivery, $10 minimum. And then the miles and the time have to make sense. And shopping, $20 minimum. And again, the time and the miles have to make sense. So you got to set some standards and stick to those standards, or you'll just go broke chasing these crappy offers because you feel like you've been sitting there for an hour and haven't gotten anything. You got to always have something else going on. So, all right, that was my Thursday, 1.5 hours, $63. Add that to my Wednesday, 2 hours. What was it? $90? $90 yesterday. So now here we are Thursday night. I'm only at about $250 for the whole week. Again, guys, I do this very part-time, but just a couple hour a day, 1.5 hours a day. I haven't even done Friday, Saturday, or Sunday yet, and I'm at $250. That's an extra $1,000. Now, if you're trying to pay your rent and all that stuff, $1,000 for the month sucks. But if you have your regular job and you're just doing some of the stuff, kind of follow my channel, see how I do this stuff, follow other channels, and you're like, hey, I just need to make a little extra money. I want to get this debt paid off faster. I need to do this, or I need to do that. All of a sudden, that was an easy extra $250 this week. Easy. Like, it was so easy, right? And Friday, Saturday, Sunday are always the busiest days if I was going to go out and drive, although my daughter's got a softball tournament this weekend, So I might not do much driving this weekend. We'll see. But I'll probably end up driving a little bit tomorrow, probably a little bit Saturday afternoon, maybe Sunday, depending on the game schedule. So I'll probably end up with, I would say, at least somewhere between 500 to 700, maybe, unless I don't drive at all. But that's for the week, extra in the evenings for the week, $600-700, right? I mean, that's an extra $2,800, $2,500. What could you do with an extra $2,500, right? Now, again, if that was all you made, that would not be very good. It would be hard to pay your rent if all you made was $2,500. But if that was extra, it's a pretty good deal. It's a pretty good gig. It's all for tonight. Peace.